Spurs beat Arsenal 1-0 in our first pre-season game on the Asian tour. What a really encouraging performance I think that was. And you might notice, guys, that I'm not in my normal setup today. Well, I'm still sat at my desk, but we're working a little bit differently. My laptop has gone back into repair this week, annoyingly. I've got an issue with the display, so I'll get it back next week. So we're freestyling a little bit today, guys. We've got an actual tactics board. We're not using the website. We're going to talk through some bits. It's going to be a bit more of a chatty one today, a bit more of a 5 things we learned, and I hope you guys appreciate that. So it's not going to be the same necessary level of in-depth breakdown that we usually do, but that will 100% return for the start of the new season. It should definitely return before the Super Cup anyway. So if you enjoy this video, make sure to like. If you're new, make sure to subscribe. And go back and watch some of the previous videos to see the little bit more in-depth level of analysis you get usually on this channel. But we're improvising, we're freestyling, because I really want to talk about the game today, because I thought Spurs were excellent for large periods. And look, it's a pre-season game, obviously. You can't take too much out of it, obviously, but it's always good to get one over your rivals, especially when the winning goal comes from Pape Matar Sarr, scoring basically from the halfway line after doing what he did so well all game, especially in that first half, I thought, kind of playing in this deeper role, almost in a 4-3-3 in midfield with Bentancur and Bergvall. Obviously, I think Sarr was definitely the deepest of those midfielders, and I thought you see a lot of encouragement from him in that role. And I think the main thing that I kind of want to speak about today is that there was so much more of a solid structure from Spurs. Thomas Frank has spoken about the fact that he is a pragmatist and will adapt to every opposition, to every game state. He'll come up with a plan. And obviously we know that Arsenal are one of the best ball-playing sides in the league. They like to dominate the ball. Obviously, they like to have lots of it and put you under sustained pressure. They've got the wingers to be able to do that. Saka, very good ball retention in the final third. Obviously, Odegaard, good ball retention in the final third. They want to keep you pinned in. I don't think they really effectively did that quite well today, to be honest. But one thing they weren't able to do well is capitalise on transitional situations either. Obviously, they've got good running power, good final third decision makers in Saka and Odegaard, obviously, as well, who started that game. It was a strong starting 11 from both teams, obviously. The one thing Spurs were able to neutralise so well was Arsenal's transitional threat, because any time that Arsenal did break forward, Sarr or Bentancur were just in there, nicking that ball back. And I think, look, one of the benefits of having a game in pre-season that was kind of played with this much intensity is obviously the fact that the players are up for it and you're kind of actually testing themselves, almost replicating a proper Premier League kind of game scenario, and that is what it felt like. The downside, obviously, is that it goes a little bit too far for pre-season and maybe you get some injuries. I think we were a little bit close to that. Obviously, Saka went down, Bentancur went down. But the fact that the players were so up for it and determined to not let Arsenal beat us and win that ball back so much in the middle third of the pitch, especially in kind of this sort of area here, where Arsenal would turn the ball over and look to counter-attack. Odegaard would drive forward with the ball. Saka would drive forward the ball, but Sarr straight away with those long legs, just getting in there, disrupting, breaking up play in that deeper role. I think he is someone that we can be really, really excited about. I didn't do a breakdown after the Reading or Luton games because I don't think that was too much to be said. And I did some stuff over my TikTok, so make sure to go and check that out. I've just done 5 things we learned over there as well, so make sure to go and follow that. The link will be in the description, obviously, to the channel. And I think Sarr, obviously, playing in that deeper role, it's something that we've obviously spoken a lot about. Do Spurs need to sign another defensive midfielder? I think we definitely do, someone that offers progressive passing ability. It's why I'm kind of not massively keen necessarily on the signing of João Paulinho. That looks like it may be progressing today with a loan deal, because I think Sarr can do so much of that. And I think you are going to see him explode this season into something really, really exciting. Obviously, he got a goal today, an amazing goal. There was probably a little bit of a foul in there. He got 2 goals against Reading last week, kind of popping up in the box, one off a rebound, one just being in the right place at the right time, off of a cutback. If he can kind of just add those little bits even more. And we've always known that he's been a threat in the final third. Sometimes his decision-making or his technical quality lets him down a little bit. But I feel like we've seen a bit of a step up from him. And I feel like this is the season where we're kind of going to see him almost go from a boy into a man, which sounds crazy, really, because obviously he's been around for so long now. Sarr's been obviously at Spurs since, made his debut in 2023 under Conte. And obviously we've seen growth in his game the season after last, in Ange's first season, and obviously last season as well. And he's been an important figure. But I feel like this is the season where people outside of Spurs really stand up and take notice of him as well. He's had his fair share of plaudits, obviously, throughout the time, but sometimes I feel like he gets forgotten. I feel like he almost has got forgotten a little bit in our fan base as well. Like the amount of people that I've kind of spoke to and chatted with this summer who are so keen to like want him sold. I'm just like, I really don't get it. I really don't get it. When you've got someone that has that much enthusiasm for the game in all facets of it, has got that much energy, can press like a monster, can break up play like a monster. I've got some stats actually on his defensive side of the game today. Let me just pull them up for you quickly. I'm kind of just doing this on the fly, recording it straight after the game, so apologies if it's a bit, not up to the same standard, like I said, as usual, obviously, but we're working with what we've got right now. Sarr, in terms of his defensive stats, 5 out of 5 tackles won, 5 clearances, 3 recoveries, 1 block, 7 out of 10 ground duels won, which was more than any other player, and he won both of his aerial duels as well. Just covered so much ground across that pitch, and like I said, anytime Arsenal kind of did move forward with the ball in transition, Sarr and Bentancur in here, in this kind of zone, were just so good at just breaking it up. Again, here you can kind of get an idea of the structure a little bit as well. Obviously, Romero and Van de Ven, the centre-back partnership. Spence at left-back, obviously with the injury to a doggy. He was a little bit more reserved in his role today. Odegaard was definitely the outlet on that left-hand side, kind of staying a little bit more high and wide. We saw Kudus on this side, from an attacking perspective, do what he does best and kind of come inside the pitch a little bit more, kind of playing halfway between a winger and a number 10. We saw Porro kind of get up and down as the more attacking fullback. It wasn't like necessarily, I don't think it was a particularly back three in build-up that much. I think we saw more of the 2-4 in build-up that we sort of have. We've seen, or 4-2-3-1 maybe in build-up, that we've kind of been used to seeing also in the games so far. With Bergwijn kind of the most advanced, these two definitely just dropping in to help us play out from the back. It wasn't necessarily kind of the 3-back shape that we've kind of been building up within some games, with Porro tucking in and then Udogie going high and wide, the left winger kind of coming inside a little bit more. It was definitely more Porro kind of being the more advanced, Spence tucking in, but it was definitely more of a 4-2 shape in build-up for sure. What else did I want to talk about? Set pieces I wanted to talk about. It was so nice in that first half to see us stick it on Arsenal from set pieces. They've done it to us for how long now? Every North London derby, it feels like we've played. It feels like, obviously they've done it to everybody, Arsenal, but like they've stuck it on us. Every single North London derby, Ben White in front of the goalkeeper, tampering with Vicario's gloves, distracting him. We hit the post twice from corners today. One, the Porro in swinger where Van de Ven gets across Raya. Again, you can argue whether there was a foul in there, but the amount of stuff that Arsenal kind of got away with over the years, why shouldn't we be tapping more into that side of the game? 100%. Kudus from the other side, in swinging corner. Richarlison ends up hitting the post. I'm not quite sure how he didn't score, but I think it hit the post first, then hit him. So it was a little bit unlucky from his perspective. But it was really good to see the kind of, like I said, in the defensive structure, in Thomas Frank adapting and having us sit a little bit more deep and just absorb a bit of pressure and also break play up, be a bit more defensive-minded, let Arsenal have the ball and we'll kind of go and counter-attack when we got it. It was really nice to see those principles take shape so quickly. There are going to be games where Spurs dominate the ball, obviously a lot more than we did today, but again, he shows that adaptability, that pragmatism, adapting to the opposition. I thought it was really encouraging. But again, it's really good to see that take space in shape in such a short space of time. But it's really good to see the focus and effort on those marginal gains, the corners. Obviously, we haven't really seen it with throw-ins so much, but the fact that Spurs are like willing to do it, happy to do it, and see it really causing Arsenal a lot of problems. There was a lot of panic in that penalty area they're probably not used to. Certainly from Spurs, it was probably a bit of a shock to them, and it was a bit of a shock to the fans. I think it's something that we can really take away from, and especially the fact that it was against Arsenal as well, a team that has kind of done it to us for so long and caused us issues from set pieces. It was really good to kind of stick it back on them today. So really, really encouraging. And again, there's also like, in terms of the defensive side of the game, I thought one thing that was really impressive, not just the structure out of possession, stopping those turnovers, breaking up play whenever we could, was the commitment to box defending as well. If you're going to kind of talk more about Frank's kind of philosophy taking shape so quickly. Again, obviously, Wickham and Luton, last week weren't exactly the most encouraging games. Luton, we were poor. It wasn't great. And it was all about getting minutes in the legs, of course. That's the focus. And again, you can't take too much away from the game today. But when you're playing against Premier League opposition at the intensity that we did, I think there was a lot to be encouraged from a Spurs perspective. And again, that commitment to box defending. Everyone's so disciplined, bodies on the line. Romero, I thought, was excellent once again. There was a moment in that first half where Saka slipped a little ball, or someone slipped a little ball in that channel to Saka. Romero and Bentancur straight on it, trying to funnel him out of play, get away out of my penalty area. They both come across. Romero wins the tackle. Havertz dives in. Romero nutmegs him. that composure in the box as well. There was one time I thought Romero got a little bit too carried away when trying to play out from the back. But again, composure. Like I said, we have seen it under Ange. We've seen Ange be able to do that, obviously, in that Europa League run, and we know these players can dig in deep. But I thought we saw that on another level today, and obviously not as high stakes, but with the intensity that the game was played at, I think it was really encouraging to see that, and I think those players will take a lot of pride and heart out of that performance. So it was really good to see that commitment to box defending, especially towards the end of the game as well, where Arsenal were pushing a little bit more. Gyökeres comes on, didn't have a sniff, did he really, to be honest? I thought Danso came on, did well. So some really encouraging stuff from a defensive point of view, not just in terms of structure, but in terms of that actual defending on the line when it mattered. Like I said it in my TikTok, 5 things we learned just now. Arsenal had 16 shots in that game, but we restricted them to one big chance. One big chance it was. Sorry, my microphone might die, but you'll still be able to hear me. Actually, I'm just gonna take it off now. You'll still be able to hear me through the camera, don't worry. What was I saying? Yeah, in terms of the box defending, really, really good. Really, really good stuff. Gyökeres not having a sniff. It just felt like we kind of really imposed our presence on Arsenal today. I think that's what's nice. Something that's quite, intangible that you can't necessarily talk about in terms of the stats. Something that you feel when you're watching a game is that we imposed ourselves in a game of high intensity, low stakes, of course. But when you wouldn't have thought that the game was played. It was good to see us really impose ourselves, not get bullied by an Arsenal team that we have been bullied by. When you think back to those previous North London derbies last season, we were bullied at the Emirates. We played better in that home game towards the start of the season, but again, set pieces got bullied. Again, made sure that didn't happen from a defensive point of view as well today. Nullified a lot of their threats. I thought it was really, really, really encouraging. And again, like I said, you can't take too much out of it, obviously, but beating Arsenal is always a good feeling. Who else I wanted to speak about? Wilson Odobert, I thought his role was really interesting. Like I said, kind of used... let me just flip this around, actually. Used on this left-hand side as that kind of very much that outlet. I thought what we saw from him was a lot more confidence on the ball. There was a few moments where he dribbled in the centre of the pitch, taking a lot of Arsenal players out of the game, that hunger and desire to get into the penalty area, commit bodies. He obviously came in off that left-hand side, hit the post. He was really bright from the off. And I think one thing with Odobert, it's never been about, and I've spoken about this quite a lot in videos, it's never really been about the lack of talent. It's been about the attitude almost, I think, sometimes as well. Not confident enough, not brave enough. I think I've spoken about it multiple times. I think he can really learn from Matisse Tel, his good friend and French under-21 teammate, about grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck. And I'm not saying we've seen Tel do that for Spurs in spades necessarily. It's just a character trait that I think you do see in Tel whenever you see him play. And I think we definitely saw that from Wilson Odobert today. Looked a lot more confident, really hungry. I thought Tel was pretty impressive when he came on as well. Good hunger. I think the striker situation is a bit of a problem at the moment with Solanke out. Well, obviously, Tel did play through the middle. I think he was better when he drifted out wide. And we saw that, obviously, him standing up that cross to Van de Ven, where I think he definitely should have scored. I thought Richarlison caused problems, but I think in terms of his play on the ball, there was a few moments where he tried to dribble that Arsenal back line. It was just too easy for them to deal with, really. But he was okay. Like I said, I thought the standouts for me from the Spurs perspective, Odobert, bright. Kudus, I think, again, good. I think today was a good test for him against Miles Lewis-Skelly, who I think when you think about Kudus' physicality and the pace that he's got as well, and that ability to shift direction, I think Lewis-Skelly, in terms of the strength that he offers, even though, he just got brushed off the ball for the goal, the strength that he offers, I think, was a good test for Kudus, and I think he came out probably on top of those. A fairly even contest. I think Lewis-Skelly did well against him at times, but I think you saw, again, a lot of nice little flashes from Kudus. But again, Sarr, Bentancur, I think, were the standouts in midfield. Bergvall was okay, I thought, but Sarr, for me, I just think that I'm so excited to see the player that he can continue to develop into this season. Romero, good. Van de Ven, good. Porro, really good, again, from a defensive point of view as well. I loved when he shoved Arteta back into his technical area. Like I said, the game kind of did matter for these players. There was a bit of needle out there, a bit of aggression. And like I said earlier in the video, I might have said it just now on TikTok, this game objectively wasn't a great idea. It wasn't a great idea necessarily, because I think there was a lot of intensity played in it, which, I don't know, pre-season is just about a minute. We saw it like the Man United Arsenal game a few years ago in pre-season, where it was played almost at like Premier League pace, players kicking lumps out of each other, and it's like, you don't want to see that really in pre-season from either side, to be honest. But obviously both teams kind of came through it unscathed. But yeah, Porro just shoving Arteta that little bit of needle. It was a game that mattered for Spurs today, which was good, and we got over the line. Clean sheet, good defensive performance, good out of possession structure. Really good stuff. On to Newcastle at the weekend on Sunday. Looking forward to that one. There's going to be a video out on my channel tomorrow where I talk about Morgan Gibbs-White alternatives. I'm also going to chat about João Paulinho in a video that's going to come out on Saturday. So look out for that one. So yeah, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what really impressed you from the game today. Anything that I've missed. Like I said, sorry, this is a bit on the fly. Like I said, I haven't been able to do a proper breakdown for you guys, so I do apologise for that. But those will return before the Super Cup. So don't you worry about that. Normal service will be resumed. But yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Always a good feeling beating Arsenal and up the Spurs. Make sure to like and subscribe.